The ocean was calm. Just before dawn on March 4th, 2026, the waters of the Indian Ocean looked like any other quiet morning at sea. The sky was still dark, the wind was light, and the surface of the water barely moved. But far beneath the calm ocean surface, something was waiting. A silent hunter. Hidden hundreds of feet below the waves, one of the most advanced war machines ever built was tracking its target. Inside the submarine, sonar operators were listening carefully. Through their headphones came the faint mechanical signature of a distant ship. Propellers turning, engines humming, steel moving through water. Every sound told a story, and together, those sounds revealed exactly where the target was. Above the water, the crew of an Iranian warship continued their voyage across the Indian Ocean. They had no radar warning, no missile alerts, no visible enemy ships. Everything appeared normal, but within minutes, a single torpedo would rip their vessel apart. Because on that morning, a United States Navy submarine launched a deadly underwater attack that would sink an Iranian warship, an event that would become one of the most dramatic naval engagements of the 21st century. This is the story of how the Iranian frigate IRIS Dena was destroyed, and why the United States decided to strike. The ship at the center of the incident was the Iranian frigate IRIS Dena. Commissioned in 2021, the vessel was part of Iran's growing fleet of domestically built warships. The frigate belonged to the Moudge-class frigate, a series of ships designed to expand Iran's naval capabilities far beyond its coastal waters. For decades, Iran's navy was largely confined to the Persian Gulf, but ships like the Dena represented something much bigger. They allowed Iran to operate across the Indian Ocean and beyond. At approximately 95 meters long and displacing around 1,500 tons, the Dena was a compact but capable multi-role warship. Despite international sanctions limiting Iran's access to advanced military technology, the ship carried an impressive array of weapons. These included anti-ship cruise missiles capable of striking targets more than 100 kilometers away, surface-to-air missile systems designed to defend against aircraft and drones, a powerful 76mm naval gun mounted at the bow, anti-submarine torpedoes, and a helicopter landing deck that allowed the ship to operate naval helicopters. The vessel also carried advanced radar and electronic warfare systems. Its phased array radar could detect and track aircraft and surface ships hundreds of kilometers away. To Iranian naval planners, ships like the Dena symbolized something critical: strategic independence. After decades of sanctions, Iran was proving it could build its own modern warships. But on March 4th, the Dena was operating in waters where another navy held overwhelming dominance: the United States Navy. At the time of the incident, the Dena was sailing roughly 40 nautical miles south of Sri Lanka. The ship had recently participated in multinational naval exercises in the region. Its crew likely believed they were returning safely toward Iranian waters. But they were not alone. Somewhere below them, a US Navy attack submarine had already detected the ship. Modern submarines are among the stealthiest and most sophisticated weapon systems ever created. Unlike surface ships, submarines rarely rely on radar. Instead, they listen. Using massive sonar systems, submarines can detect ships many kilometers away. These systems include hull-mounted sonar arrays embedded directly into the submarine's structure, flank arrays running along the sides of the submarine, and long, trailing sonar cables extending hundreds of meters behind the vessel. These sensors capture tiny underwater sounds, propeller cavitation, gearbox vibrations, electrical systems. Each vessel produces a unique acoustic signature. To trained sonar analysts, these signatures are like fingerprints. Once identified, a ship can be tracked for hours without ever being seen. Inside the submarine's control room, computers constantly calculated the target's course and speed. Gradually, the solution became clear. The Iranian frigate was within striking range. The weapon chosen for the attack was the Mark 48 torpedo. This is the primary torpedo used by United States Navy submarines. Weighing more than 3,000 pounds, the Mark 48 is designed specifically to destroy large warships and submarines. It is one of the most powerful underwater weapons ever developed. Once launched, the torpedo accelerates through the water using a powerful engine. It can reach speeds of more than 50 knots. That is nearly 100 kilometers per hour underwater. Initially, the torpedo remains connected to the submarine through a thin guidance wire. This allows the submarine's fire control computer to continuously update the torpedo's course. But as the weapon approaches the target, it switches to its own onboard sonar. From that moment forward, the torpedo becomes fully autonomous. It can detect ships, track them, and adjust its course automatically. If the target attempts evasive maneuvers, the torpedo can follow. If it misses, it can circle back and attack again. But the real danger lies in how the torpedo detonates. Instead of striking the ship directly, the Mark 48 often explodes beneath the hull. This creates a massive gas bubble that rapidly expands and collapses. The sudden loss of water support beneath the ship can literally break the vessel's keel. Large warships can snap in half. Against a frigate the size of the Dena, the results are devastating. Just before 5 a.m. local time, the submarine's captain gave the order. Fire! Compressed air blasted the torpedo out of its launch tube. Within seconds, the weapon accelerated toward its target. Inside the submarine, the crew watched the torpedo's progress on their fire control displays. Distance decreasing, speed constant, target locked. Onboard sonar then took control. Above the water, the Iranian crew remained unaware. There were no alarms, no missile warnings, only the quiet hum of engines as the ship continued its course. Then, the torpedo struck. The explosion occurred directly beneath the stern of the frigate. The blast ripped through the ship's propulsion systems and tore open the rear of the vessel. Metal twisted. Compartments flooded instantly. Within seconds, the ship began taking on water. A distress signal was transmitted. Crew members scrambled to launch life rafts, but the damage was catastrophic. Within minutes, the rear of the ship began sinking beneath the surface. Nearby maritime authorities received the distress signal and immediately began organizing rescue operations. Ships and aircraft from regional coast guards were dispatched to the scene. But the Indian Ocean is vast. By the time rescuers arrived, the frigate had already disappeared beneath the water. All that remained were oil slicks, debris, and survivors floating in life rafts. Reports indicated that several dozen sailors were rescued, but many others were lost when the ship sank. The sinking shocked naval observers around the world. Because submarine torpedo attacks on warships are extremely rare in modern conflicts. To find a comparable event, historians often point to the Falklands War in 1982. During that conflict, a British submarine named HMS Conqueror tracked and attacked the Argentine cruiser ARA General Belgrano. The submarine fired 3 torpedoes. 2 struck the cruiser. The explosions crippled the ship, which later sank with heavy loss of life. That attack demonstrated the terrifying power of submarines. Since then, most naval battles have been dominated by missiles and aircraft. But the sinking of the Dena reminded the world that submarines remain among the most lethal weapons at sea. So why was the United States targeting Iranian ships in the Indian Ocean? The answer lies in geopolitics. In recent years, Iran has expanded its naval operations far beyond the Persian Gulf. Some Iranian vessels have been converted into floating drone bases and missile platforms. One of the most notable examples is the Iranian support ship IRIS Dena. Originally built as an oil tanker, the vessel was converted into a mobile naval base capable of launching drones and helicopters. These ships allow Iran to project power deep into the Indian Ocean, and that creates potential threats to critical American military facilities. One of the most important of those facilities is Naval Support Facility Diego Garcia. Located on a remote island in the middle of the Indian Ocean, this base plays a crucial role in U.S. military operations. It hosts long-range strategic bombers, intelligence aircraft, and naval logistics infrastructure. Aircraft such as the B-2 Spirit stealth bomber have launched missions from this base during major military operations. Protecting Diego Garcia is therefore a top priority for the United States. Iran's navy cannot match the United States in terms of large warships. Instead, it relies on asymmetric warfare. This strategy focuses on using unconventional tactics to challenge stronger opponents. Key elements include fast attack boats, anti-ship missiles, naval mines, drones, and submarines. The goal is not to defeat the U.S. Navy in a direct battle. It is to make the region dangerous enough that American forces cannot operate freely. Much of this strategy centers on one critical location, the Strait of Hormuz. Nearly 1/5 of the world's oil supply passes through this narrow waterway. Any disruption there could cause massive global economic consequences. Preventing that scenario has long been one of the United States Navy's primary strategic objectives. The sinking of the IRIS Dena highlights a fundamental truth about modern naval warfare. The most dangerous threat at sea may be the one you never see. Submarines operate in complete secrecy. They can track targets for days, strike without warning, and disappear into the depths before anyone knows they were there. For the sailors aboard the Dena, the attack came without warning. No radar detection, no missile alerts, just a sudden explosion beneath their ship. And within minutes, their vessel was gone. In the vast oceans of the world, the silent hunters still rule the deep. And sometimes, the battle is over before it even begins. This is Military Front. Subscribe for more.